Josh Hasten here, Israel Uncensored on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com. It is Monday, the 2nd of March, 2020, the 6th of Adar, 5780, and we have a special show for you today. I'm standing outside one of the voting booths as Israel goes to the elections for the third time in 1 year to elect representatives to our 23rd Knesset. So you can hear a little bit of the action behind me here, a lot of the noise. And we're going to be speaking to people this morning here at the voting station to get their take on who they are voting for and why. So here we have a young gentleman here who has just come out to cast his ballot. And if you want to give your name, sir, you can. You give your first name if you'd like.
My name is Raphael Duke from Yishuv Elazar.
And we are in Gush Etzion, by the way. Let's be clear. We're in the Gush. So some of the answers may be similar. We don't know. We'll see if there's some diversity here in our community. And who are you voting for in this morning's election and why?
I'll be voting for Naftali Bennett and Yemina. The reason why I'm voting for them is because their ideological thoughts and thinking are similar to mine. I want someone who's clear on the right and someone to help Bibi Netanyahu stay on the right and be focused on the way where we have to go. We have a long way to go, and hopefully with them and others we'll be well. We will do. So
you mentioned Netanyahu. Netanyahu says that you have to vote for me in order that I will have the largest party, and therefore certainly I'll have a victory over Kahol Lavan. And he's encouraging people not, as he has been, not to vote for the smaller parties. It was a little bit of a different strategy this time. He actually targeted his Likud voters more, try to get them to come out, those who didn't vote last time. But he's still, at the end of the day, saying, don't vote for a smaller party, vote for me. And I guess by the fact that you just said that you're voting for Bennett, you don't subscribe to that logic, that line of reasoning. Is that correct?
It's correct, but I think so that if I vote for the right wing and for Bennett, I think it's going to strengthen Bibi Netanyahu, and the votes won't be lost. So together, I think it will still get the same target: Bibi being the prime minister and having a good crew around him.
There you have it, Rafi, our first interviewee from Gush Etzion. Have you voted yet? By the way, you're on your way now.
I'm on my way. I'll be there in a few minutes.
He's on his way. He's going inside to vote. Thank you so much. That's our first interviewee. And again, just to reiterate what Rafi said, I mean, that is the logic of those who are voting for Bennett, is that they want to strengthen Netanyahu from the right. And that is why people are voting for Naftali Bennett. Some people are voting for Bennett for that reason. I mean, obviously, there's an ideological reason there as well. If they support Bennett, they like his party platforms. But Bennett himself is saying, and then Ayala Shaked and the rest of his party, they are saying we would like to strengthen Bibi from the right to make sure that he stays on track in terms of some of his promises, the application of sovereignty, and some of his other policies. And now we'll try to find our next interviewee. Here we are, our next member of the Gush Etzion community who's headed to the polls right now, Chaim. Who are you voting for today and why?
I think it's important that everybody get out and vote. I think that to allow the left wing to gain power would be disastrous for the state of Israel. And I think that it doesn't really matter who on the right, but as long as it's a party that can actually get seats and help establish a right-wing government, that's the most important thing that we should all do. And I hope that this is the last election for a while and that we can move forward with really claiming Eretz Yisrael for the Jewish people.
So I'm going to read between the lines here and just say, based on what you said, is you're targeting a party, perhaps whether it's Netanyahu or Bennett, but Otzma, I guess, then would not be the choice because they are not about to pass, or they're not slated to pass, according to the polls, the electoral threshold. Is that what you're saying, more or less? That we need to vote for a secure party that is destined to pass the threshold?
More for practical reasons than for ideological reasons, although ideologically I probably agree with a lot of what the party that's unfortunately not going to get in stands for. I feel that as a practical measure, one has to try to keep power in the places that's possible to do.
Well, thanks very much. Enjoy the day off and happy voting. I appreciate it. That is Chaim from here in Gush Etzion. And I actually said I made similar comments yesterday when I was interviewed by I-24 News about the Otzma party, Itamar Ben-Gvir and whatnot, and I perhaps identify with them from an ideological perspective. But in this election, especially now going to the polls for the third time, I think it is crucial that those of us on the so-called right do not waste votes and vote for a party that is not slated to pass the electoral threshold. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a mini miracle and they'll pass. So that leaves for myself two options. And by the way, I will not divulge on today's show who I'm voting for, but it's either going to be Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Likud party or Naftali Bennett and the Yemina party. I mean, that much is pretty clear to me. I'm walking towards the entrance here to the polling station, and I don't know. I may make my decision as I go behind the blue curtain and fold that piece of paper with one of the two parties, either Netanyahu's party, Machal, or the Tet Vav Tov party of Naftali Bennett. And I see a lot of action building up here, a lot of cars pulling up here as I'm standing outside of the polling booth. Let's walk a little closer to see maybe perhaps some of those volunteering for the different parties. I'm going to speak to them, asking them why they're volunteering for that particular party. And we are going to talk to some more voters as well. Here we are walking into the polling station. What is your name?
My name is Aviad Amitai from Gush Etzion.
And if I may be so bold, I know this isn't in the United States, people don't ask who you're voting for. It's impolite. We don't do that here, but here in Israel, we go ahead and ask. If I can, who are you going to vote for this morning as we're walking in the doors here?
I'm voting for Bernie Sanders. I'm a socialist. Of course, I'm joking. I'm a big supporter of Naftali Bennett. I think he's an incredible Minister of Defense. I love his team. Sarah Beck, Matan Kahana, Bezalel Smotrich, these are people that are really doing stuff for us. So I feel that by voting for them, not playing the political game of who's going to have the majority votes, I'm voting for the people I believe that are going to serve us well. And with God's help, we're finally going to have a majority government, 61, and assemble a government. This situation cannot continue for almost a year now of not having a permanent government. So with God's help, we'll be able to do it.
Netanyahu would argue that you should vote for the biggest party. Why do you think it's okay to vote for a smaller party?
He can vote for the biggest party, and at the end of the day, we all know that what matters is the coalition, the bloc, and he knows that as well. We know for sure that Yemina, the party that Bennett and Shaked leads, are going to go with Netanyahu. If anything, Netanyahu is the one that can flip on us and go with Gantz, with blue and white. In fact, the last election, he was very close to it. He was almost doing a rotation with them, and I trust Bennett more not to go with them than Netanyahu.
Thank you so much. Happy voting. Have a great day. Enjoy the day off. Bye-bye. Okay, we are right outside the actual polling room here, and we found another English speaker. Who are you voting for this morning, sir, and why?
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding.
If I'm an English speaker, English speakers don't tell who they're voting for.
I know, it's not polite in America, but we're not in America anymore.
We're afraid of recriminations.
So will you let us know who you're voting for today?
No, certainly not.
No, there's one person who will not admit who he's voting for. That's old school, folks. You don't ask that question in America. And here in Israel you do, but here you have somebody who's not willing to say who he's voting for. I respect that, and we're going to let him go in and vote. Here we are, another person here waiting in line with his beautiful family, getting ready to vote, teaching a lot of families here. Who are you, if I may be so bold, who are you voting for and why?
So I'd like to switch that around and say, can you suggest who I should vote for? Because I walked to the carpet this morning thinking I could vote for any of about 3 or 4 parties, and no single one of them completely convinces me. In fact, I don't think any of them even partially convinces me. But I feel that it's an obligation to vote, so I will vote, and I'll probably make my mind up as I stand at the booth.
I said the exact same thing. I think I'm going to make my mind up when I go inside. I cannot tell you who to vote for. That you'll have to do yourself, but good luck deciding, and let's hope maybe we can agree on the fact that we do not want a 4th election, perhaps?
I would agree with that. I think that we need to make changes to the electoral system here, but it seems that you can't make changes without having a government first, so we're kind of stuck in a fix at the moment.
Happy voting. I hope you make a decision out there, and don't take too long. That way the people behind you get a chance to vote as well. I'm just joking. Have a great day off, and happy voting. Here we have our first female votee, somebody here at the booths. You don't have to give your name. You can just let us know who you're considering voting for and why. And you don't have to give your name if you don't want.
No, I will tell you.
Another undecided voter. This is very interesting. Somebody walking into the polling booth. No, seriously, you don't know walking in who you're voting for?
At least we're not staying at home.
At least that's true. That's true. You're coming out to vote, which is very important.
They're going to be behind the...
Yeah, here you have two people deciding behind the curtain?
Yes.
Yes, and you live here in Gush Etzion.
Yeah.
Gush Etzion resident. Born and raised in Gush Etzion, and she's walking.
Built this settlement.
Her parents are one of the founders of the community of Elazar, which is where I am, if I didn't point that out in advance. And she's walking into the polling station now. Another undecided voter, somebody else who will decide behind the blue screen. I appreciate that, and good luck. Good luck with your decision. And here we have the next voter here, a native Israeli, yes?
Yes, absolutely. Generation in Jerusalem.
A Palestinian in Jerusalem, because before 48, the Jews here, they were the ones who were referred to as the Palestinians. So, sir, if you want to give your name, you can. If not, you don't have to. The question is, who are you going to vote for today and why?
The name is Kfir, and I'm going to vote for Yemina, which I believe they will take Bibi to the right side. Don't want to make him mistakes, and that's why the reason. This is the main reason.
Do you think that Yemina, I mean, so far I've only interviewed a few people. So far we have 3 votes for Yemina here. And again, I'll remind the voters, we're in Gush Etzion, and the parties to the right of Likud, they actually had in the last election, they had the most representatives. In other words, more residents of Judea and Samaria voted for a combination of Yemina, Beit HaYehudi, the right parties, those to the right of Likud. Do you think we'll see that same thing, that same trend in today's election?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think Yemina, and I mean Bennett and Shaked, not the Beit HaYehudi, they're going to make the main difference on the right side of the map because people get involved with them, not only from Judea and Samaria, but all around the country. They think he looks like the same, he looks like everybody in Israel, so that's why they sympathize with him.
Did it upset you at all the different coalition agreements, disagreements before the fact? I mean, you had Itamar Ben-Gvir, who 1 minute was supposed to be with Rafi Peretz, and then they broke off, and then Bennett took them in, and then Itamar Ben-Gvir stayed on the outside. Did that affect your logic, your thinking at all? The fact that the party looked like they were going in one direction, and then everything got mixed up at the last minute? Did that affect you? Did that question your perhaps allegiance towards the Bennett and his party?
Absolutely. I think if it's reminded me the Jewish wars, like back away in Josephus Flavius. He will say the same right now on these days.
Well, thank you so much, and have a good holiday today. It's also a holiday. Enjoy the day off, and happy voting.
Amen. Thank you.
Okay, folks, I am going to take a break, and I am going to vote myself because the line is so short right now here at about 8:15 in the morning on the day of the election. There is no line, so why not take a break from my show and go ahead and vote? So I'm standing here at the door. There's another person who's voting before me. You have a mother actually taking a picture of her daughter casting the ballot. Perhaps this is the third time that she's experienced the electoral process here in Israel, because, again, third election in a year. And hold on, I'm waiting for my turn here. I'm going to go in and vote. All right, I'm handing over my ID. They're finding my name on the papers. Make sure that everything is kosher here. Yeah, there it is. There's my name, Hasten Josh. Everything is in order. And I'm going to go behind the blue barrier here. I got my envelope, and I'm going to try to describe it, walking you through it here. Here we go. Many choices, so many parties here to choose from. So many parties. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm not going to reveal to you who I'm voting for. That's for sure. That I will not do. But as I've stated clearly, it's either going to be the Prime Minister, Netanyahu, or Naftali Bennett and the Yemina party. One or the other. I'm sorry. I will not reveal who I'm voting for. Okay, I made my decision. I have my blue envelope. I may have to make sure it's sealed so they can actually count my vote. An unsealed envelope goes in the garbage. I'm placing it here inside the box. I'm going to ask for somebody to take a quick picture of me here so I can post it along with the show. Here we go. Here we go, and there it is. That's it. Democracy in action here. A third time this year. And honestly, folks, even though it's the third time in a year, it's still an emotional experience to vote here in the state of Israel. Being myself, the son of Holocaust survivors, living in the Jewish state of Israel, having the opportunity to select my leadership, playing a very, very tiny role in that by placing the name of the party who I chose in the blue envelope, putting it in the box. It seems like a small act, but it's much, much deeper than that. And I hope I can convey that to you, the audience here, as more and more people are starting to head to the polls. The early voters, a lot of people vote here and then spend the day out in nature, barbecues out in the park, driving and traveling throughout the country, exploring the land of Israel. And I guess that's, unfortunately it's bad for the economy, all these elections, but with a grain of salt, I guess you can say that it's an opportunity to explore the land of Israel, which is definitely a wonderful thing to do. Yeshuv Bar, it's fulfilling the commandment of living in the land of Israel. And here we have another gentleman here. He's a great scholar, a great friend. We're not going to give his name. We won't give your name. But I just wanted to know who you voted for. No one will know who it is. I know you don't want to give your name. Who you voted for and why, sir, coming out of the polls here.
I voted for Yemina. And they received my vote because they seem to be dedicated to the principles that are important to me. I'm Israel, Eretz Yisrael, Torah Yisrael. And I think that they'll do an important job keeping the, the not so sure right-wingers on the right track.
And is it solely based on ideology? I mean, I said it before of interviewing other people that maybe in another reality, maybe I would have voted for the Otzma party, but simply because I think it is damaging at this time to vote for them, with no disrespect to their party or their beliefs, but because they stayed in the election, and you might have thousands and thousands of votes being thrown into the trash as a result. I mean, did that play a role in your selecting Yemina?
Yes and no. On one hand, as the trite saying goes, the graveyards are filled with people who thought that they were irreplaceable. And I think that in Yemina, with people like Bezalel Smotrich, you have people who are thinkers and ideologues just the same, idealists rather. And I don't think that you're missing anything in that respect. I don't think that anyone needs to cast a vote for Otzman. He's going to get something any different than he would be getting for Yemina ultimately. I think they're both good people, but I think that there's a lot of ego at play right now, and I think that has and will continue to be detrimental to Am Yisrael.
Thank you for your time. So far, I think everyone I've spoken to has said Yemina. It's not really a surprise the fact that I'm in Gush Etzion. But that being said, I guarantee you, I don't know if I'll get to them, but there are people on this community who I know for a fact are voting for Likud today. I know for a fact there are people out here who are voting for blue and white, and maybe some of the other parties as well. At this hour here in the morning, it looks like the early bird with the Yemina party gets the worm, because most of the people who are if you go back and listen, a few people did not tell me, did not divulge who they were voting for. But so far, again, not surprising based on last election, the majority in Gush Etzion and throughout Judea and Samaria voted for the Yemina, or a combination of the National Union, Bayit HaYehudi, and those parties. I mean, they came out number one in the communities in Judea and Samaria. So I guess no surprise so far this morning. But I'm sure there are Bibi voters out here. I'm sure there are Gans voters out here, and some of the other parties. We're going to hang out here just a few more minutes and see. Maybe we'll find some of them as well. And here we go. Latzbias to vote, and we have our next potential voter here is walking to the polls. We're going to try to get her also. Who are you voting for today, sir, and why?
I vote for Yemina because this is Eretz Yisrael, Torah Yisrael, and Am Yisrael.
Good answer. Thank you so much. We'll try to get somebody here. You don't have to give your name, ma'am. You can just say who you voted for and why. You don't have to give your name.
In English?
In English.
Are you serious?
English is your native tongue. Come on.
I voted for Yemina.
Wow, that's so far. I think we're 6 for 6 on Yemina here at this polling booth. Why?
Because I think we need someone besides Benjamin Netanyahu to let him do the right things he needs to do.
Okay, we're 6. I think it's 6 for 6. We had 6 for 6. We had somebody who didn't want to reveal, but so far, I guess the Yemina party, they're the early birds today, and we'll see how the rest of the day goes. Okay, here's our next voter.
I'm voting for Tav.
Tav is
Yamin Bennett.
Bennett. Okay, 7 for 7. Wow, we're not seeing much diversity so far this morning, but I'm sure it'll get here. And we have a very special guest at this time, Mark Zell. You can give us your titles for today.
Well, not that it's relevant, but I'm the chairman of the Republican Party here in Israel and the vice president of the Republican Party outside the United States. I just got back from Myanmar, which is in the Far East, wearing my mask still around the neck.
Right. We want to be careful with that. And you are not voting for Yemina, from what I understand, correct?
That's correct. Now, I have a lot of respect for them, but I'm a Likudnik, and I'm going to vote for Bibi and the Likud today.
Why?
Well, first of all, I mean, he's done an amazing job at protecting Israel around the world. I'm an international lawyer, and I travel a lot, and I can tell you that because of him, the status of Israel and the strength of Israel is stronger and better. Now, I understand all the objections to him personally and so on, but I don't think there's anyone that's running today that can do what he has done and I'm sure will continue to do for our country.
Thanks so much. I guess one last question. The deal of the century is looming over our heads. Do you think it is the responsible decision then to vote for Prime Minister Netanyahu as we are now in the midst of being introduced to the so-called deal of the century? I know the map makers were all out and about this past week. Ambassador Friedman on the American side and some on the Israeli side getting together on this deal. Is Netanyahu therefore pointing us in the right direction, especially as a result of this plan?
Well, I happen to believe in the plan. I also believe strongly in the conditions that are the very stringent conditions imposed on the emergence of a Palestinian state. And it seems to me that that's not likely to happen in the near future. But the idea the American government for the first time in history is supporting Israeli sovereignty over large areas of Judea and Samaria, some 30% of it at least, is, I think, an important step in the right direction. And I'm in favor of that. When Ambassador Friedman met with the first mapping committee in Ariel University last week, I was there and I had a chance to encourage them. And I am very much in favor of what they're doing and have full faith and confidence in Bibi and in Ambassador Friedman, and particularly Donald Trump, President of the United States, Mike Pence, to do what's right for us, and that's why I'm voting for Likud today to continue this.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Welcome back home, and thank you for bringing the diversity. You're our first Likud voter of the morning.
Is that right?
So thanks very much.
That's pretty sad.
So far it's been all Yemina, but here we have our first Likud. And again, I'm sure there are voters from many of the other parties here, but the Yemina early bird gets the worm, so they've been out first. But thanks so much. Have a great day.
Great day. Thanks to you.
And here we have another non-Yemina voter. You know, Yemina's been the trend so far today. Who did you vote for and why?
I voted for Likud because as much as I support Yemina, I'm very concerned about them reaching the threshold, and I feel a stronger Likud is what the country needs, because ultimately we still want Bibi running the show.
And you don't think it's necessary to vote for Yemina, let's say, or one of the other parties in order to strengthen Netanyahu? That's the argument those who I've spoken to so far. We need to strengthen Bibi from the right, therefore, and I'm not endorsing Yemina. I'm just asking if you subscribe to that logic.
I did, but unfortunately votes were lost in previous elections. And as a result, I feel the only way to really make sure that we have the best candidate running Israel in the World Forum is Bibi, and I think that's why we need a strong Likud, because we don't want to be held ransom in the future by small minority parties holding the government to ransom again.
I hear what you're saying. Some of my votes in previous elections were thrown in the garbage, so I subscribe to that logic without divulging who I'm voting for. But I appreciate it. Happy Election Day. Thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome. Take care. Happy Election Day.
All right, here. I'm literally running after a voter here. Who are you voting for? If you want to give your name, you can. You don't have to. Who are you voting for today and why?
Likud.
Likud? Why? How come?
I want Netanyahu to be strong.
Thank you so much. There's another Likud. Things are balancing out a little bit at this polling station. We had some Yemina voters. Now we're getting some Likud voters. How about you? Have you, what? Ted Bet. So here's another Yemina voter. Why?
Why? Because we have to make Netanyahu strong, but he would be stronger if he would have Shaked and Bennett beside him.
Okay, there's that logic. I understand that completely. Thanks so much.
I don't want to give my name.
All right, she doesn't want to give her name. We have an undecided voter here. What are the issues which are on your mind as you, as an undecided voter here, are right outside the polls trying to learn more about the parties?
Well, I study government, so I know quite a lot about this, and there's just no good choice at this point. There's no one I see.
It's true.
It's the best of the worst.
So the two parties who... and again, I don't know how it's going to end up at the end of the day. The two parties most voted for, in terms of who I've spoken to, obviously unscientific this morning, have been Yemina, Tov, Tet Vet, and Machal Likud. Why are you hesitant to vote for either one of those parties this morning?
Well, I've heard Gantz speak, and all I can hear from what he says is anything but Bibi. He has no plans for anything.
That's the reason not to vote for blue and white.
Yeah, and he speaks very slowly. And
hitting the prompter.
There's no way I can vote for Bibi with a sound mind. And at the same time, the right wing is dealing with social issues that I feel very strongly about.
But they're also very diverse. I mean, you'll hear a lot of people, like my brothers, are more Dati Leumi, like stronger Chardal, what they call, and they don't feel comfortable in Ted Bet. They feel like that is not, it's too modern for them. With Ayelet Shaked being there and so on, they're like, this is not our party. But they understand that it's the less of two evils. Is that how we say?
So you're considering maybe voting for a more socially minded party, whether it's the Meretz, Avodah, Gesher party or one of the other parties?
I think the main issue today in Israeli politics is that when you're voting left or right, you're voting left and right on every single subject, meaning if you feel socially left or socially right, you can't vote the opposite regarding security, regarding other issues. And basically there's no party that I think in general that most people feel, or that people my age at least feel, that really, gives them everything that they want in one party.
And how old are you, if I may ask? I didn't get your name, but if you can tell me just so people know, you're in your 20s? You're in your 20s. Okay, so we have a young voter who's going in, and you're a
student of government.
Okay, and you're about 3 minutes away from voting. So good luck with your decision. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
See, so there was a diverse answer. Those of you listening, I mean, again, while we've had so many Yemina and Likud so far, there you have somebody in her 20s studying government, and she would like to focus more on the social issues. That was her logic, and I don't know who she's going to vote for ultimately, but you do have a degree of diversity, even though we're here in Gush Etzion, and it looks like so far with my unscientific interviews so far that Yemina is ahead, just based on the people I've spoken to who speak English and who live here in this community. But I think that was very, very important to understand that there are other issues out there, and you have young voters who are voting not necessarily based on security or perhaps the economy, or are concerned with other issues. So that was very important to hear. I think we're going to do one more person here. She doesn't have to give her name, but who did you vote for this morning and why?
I voted for Naftali Bennett, Yemina, because I appreciate his values and the people that run with him, and he's going to be going with Bibi anyway, and I really think that Bibi's doing a great job, and I hope that he continues to do a good job.
There you have it, folks. I think we're going to end on that note. I appreciate it very much. Should we go check out other Yeshuvim? I don't think we're going to get to this morning, and we already have about 30 minutes of audio here for your show today. Again, if you're just joining us, my name is Josh Hasten. It is Monday, March the 2nd, 2020, the 6th of Adar, 5780, as Israel goes to the ballot box for the third time in 1 year to elect representatives to the 23rd Knesset. So, just to summarize, the majority of people here, again, we are in Gush Etzion, all right? Make no mistake about it. The majority of the people here, unscientifically, because I grabbed whoever I could find who speaks English, you have to find that combination, they decided to vote this morning, at least what they told me, that they're voting for Yemina, Naftali Bennett's party, which is not a surprise based on previous election results that the majority in Gush Etzion, the highest percentage, I should say, vote for Yemina based on last elections. That being said, we found a few Likud supporters. We did find one student in her 20s who was undecided, who basically said that she wanted to vote not just on security but on the social issues and had a strong problem voting for either Likud or the Yemina party. So I don't know if you want to say there's a major diversity here from what I found today, since the majority of the people I interviewed voted for Yemina, but it is important to keep in mind that there are other issues out there. As the young college-aged student, a student of government, revealed to us today, there are other issues, not just the main issues of security or the economy, social welfare issues as well. So that's going to wrap it up for today. Man on the Street, Election Edition 2020. This is Israel Uncensored on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com. The most important thing is to go out and vote. Again, 2,000 years we were stateless, we were homeless. We now have our own country. We now have our own political system, even if at times it seems insane. The fact that we're voting for a third time in a year. We have our own Jewish army for the first time in 2,000 years. And if you take time to think about it, it is truly inspiring. Even if it's for the third time, I am still inspired. It's an honor. It's an honor to broadcast from elections. Israel elects 2020. Maybe this will be the last election this year and we will not have a fourth. Get in touch with me during the week, Josh at thelandofisrael.com, on Facebook, Joshua Hasten, on Twitter at Josh Hasten, and on Instagram as well. Most importantly, between now and when we speak again, please God, next week, everyone out there in the wonderful world of ours, be safe. Happy elections from Gush Etzion, Israel. Thanks so much.
As long as I'm Prime Minister, Iran will not have nuclear weapons.
With the Israeli election days away, tune in for an interview with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
In the last 10 years, we've turned Israel into a world power. We're ranked as the 8th power in the world.
Gil Hoffman of Inside Israel Today interviews the Prime Minister.
I don't think any country in the world is better organized to address this challenge than Israel.
Hear the full show on the Land of Israel Network at the Land of